Hello and welcome to Blythe Business News, where today I'm joined by Martin Eales. Martin is Chief Executive of Ironveld, listed on AIM, market capitalisation of around £12 million sterling, and a ticker of IRON. Iron, does what it says on the tin, I suppose. Martin, you've just announced your operations update, and you've said that Ironveld is on track to meet your target of first sales in this second quarter 2023. Give us a quick update. Are you on track?
Absolutely, Tim. Thank you. Well, the key thing for listeners and viewers to recognise is that we, for those who don't know, have acquired a smelter in Rustenburg, South Africa, and have spent the months since August last year refurbishing what was a mothballed facility. It's been a complex and time-consuming job, as you can imagine. And we are definitely pleased to be able to say this morning that we are on track to make first sales in Q2 by the end of June, following the refurbishment, which was always our stated target. And I think the interesting thing to remind people is that we've got three revenue streams here. We've got three specialty metal products coming out of the smelter, which are high purity iron, vanadium slag, and titanium slag. So the beauty is we can mix those revenue streams, and we're selling to different customers rather than being over-reliant on one.
Right, so good news on the progress towards first sales. You've also announced that you're on track to get to full production capacity in the third quarter of this year, and you mentioned bringing a granulator into production. So, first of all, give us an explanation and update on what the granulator is all about, and then also, if you will, please expand on the progress towards full production.
Yes, the granulator is important, and we've referred to that in the announcement this morning. Following discussions with our customer or customers for the high purity iron, it became very clear that we could achieve a materially higher price for a granulated product than the typical cast product for the iron, which is effectively in solid lumps. There was some granulator plant in the smelter, which wasn't part of our original refurbishment plan, but what we did was rejig things and reordered things such that we've repaired the granulator alongside the AOD, or as we call it, converter, and the second furnace. So it's just a rescheduling of the refurbishment work, which means we can sell the high purity iron for a higher price in the short term. In terms of full capacity, shareholders may remember that what we have planned to do is operate three furnaces at once. So this month we're switching on number 2, and because of the slight rejigging of work, we've announced this morning that number 3 will be probably coming on before the end of July, and very quickly thereafter we're at full capacity. Well, what does that mean? That means all three furnaces are operating all day, every day, and so we can achieve that very swiftly after switching on each furnace. We proved it to ourselves following the startup in January this year when we achieved first production from the first furnace. So we are quietly confident that we're going to meet that target as well.
You've also got a partnership, as I understand it, with Burnstar Technologies, which is going to implement guilt-free hydrogen technology. I like that phrase, guilt-free hydrogen, to process liquefied natural gas. How is that going to help Ironveld's operations?
Well, the interesting thing to note is in the smelting process, alongside the ore, it is typical and indeed necessary to include a reducing agent or reductant, as it's sometimes known, alongside the ore, which enables the material inside the furnace to more beneficially be treated. It drives off unwanted gases and changes the oxidization state of the ore. Typically, a carbon-based material, and indeed we use anthracite alongside the ore on our furnaces to do that, is used. But increasingly, hydrogen is being used by producers around the world, and there's a move towards this, to use hydrogen as the reductant. Our deal with Burnstar, which we announced last month in terms of the LOI, I'm pleased to say we've now signed the formal legal agreement. Burnstar has some incredible technology whereby LNG, which we're going to have on site anyway because it will power our generators, can be treated to extract hydrogen, which they will supply to us, and potentially we will use hydrogen and only hydrogen as our reducing agent, which should mean that we reduce the need for carbon or anthracite, and B, it could command a premium in terms of green metal production, which also many producers around the world are seeking to achieve. In treating the LNG, Burnstar will extract all the nasties, and indeed that also creates a saleable product.
So we're getting greener iron and ultimately greener steel. Tremendous. One thing we haven't yet talked about is Limpopo. Could you give us, please, a quick update on what's going on there?
Sure. I think often it gets forgotten that Ironveld is sitting on a huge resource of magnetite. The smelter has been the recent focus, and rightly so, but never forget that underpinning this company is a resource of over 56 million tons, and we are barely scratching the surface in terms of our requirements for ore for the smelter at the moment. The long-term future here is to have a much bigger mining and processing operation, but I'm pleased to confirm that everything is operating as planned at the mine. In mining terms, relatively, we only require very small quantities for the smelter. We have a screening and crushing operation for the ore, which is producing the required size fractions for the smelter. And don't forget, we have opportunity to sell what's called the fines, i.e. material that's too small or it doesn't work as efficiently in the furnace as DMS magnetite material via our joint venture with Pace, which has all been announced, and we've got very strong sales inquiries for that product as well. So that will be shipping direct ore from the mine that we couldn't otherwise use, and again represents another revenue stream.
Thanks for all of that. Finally, as we always say, look, you've told us about, we've got first sales coming up. You've told us about progress towards full production capacity being reached. Is there anything else we should be looking out for from Ironveld in the coming months, or is that about it?
Well, I think in the short term, over the next 2 months, we want to confirm to shareholders we've reached those milestones that we've talked about. So that will be first sales and reaching full capacity. And then following that, the next target, as we've long stated as something we want to achieve, is the ability to transform our high purity iron into high purity iron powders. And we are busy with a number of ways to finance that expansion, and the uplift there in revenue will again be another step change. So that's what we're really looking forward to driving in the second half of this year.
Martin, thank you for all of that. That was Martin Eales giving us an update on Ironveld's progress towards first sales and also towards full production capacity being achieved, along with lots of other highlights we can look forward to. That's it for this edition of Blythe Business News. Thanks for watching.